صل على نبينا صل على محمد
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. As Ahmadis, it is our faith that Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Khatamun Nabiyyin, is the seal of the prophets. We also believe that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian is the true Messiah and the Mahdi that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prophesied about. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to Life of Muhammad. We bring you this interactive program from our MTA Gambia studios, in which we talk about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We discuss his noble character and his beautiful teachings as well. As we have spoken about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life and the beginning of Islam in our previous episodes, in today's episode, we will continue on these topics and we will speak about the migration to Medina and the events that happened right before the migration and how Islam reached the people of Medina, before known as Yathrab. Before we get into the topic itself, I would like to introduce my guest to you. On my immediate right, I have Brother Saeed Sambaso, who is serving with Majlis Khudamul Ahmadiyya as Muhtamim of Banjul Kombo region. Jazakallah, Brother Saeed, for joining me. And next to him, I have Ustaz Ibrahim Abba, who is a missionary of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat the Gambia and is also serving a Jamaat in MTA Gambia studios. Gentlemen, Jazakumullah khaira, thank you very much for joining me, and you are welcome to the program. Brother Saeed, we would start with you. In our previous episodes, we have discussed how Islam went out of Makkah now. So much that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started preaching the message of Islam to people outside Makkah, and he went on a journey to Taif as well. And then we see that a lot of other tribes, they got the wind of message of Islam, and then they visited Makkah as well. Among those were people of Daws, and we spoke about the conversion of Sayyidina Abu Huraira as well. And now we see that Medina, back then known as Yathrab, was a very important town, was a very important name in the history of early Islam as well. Please tell us, how did the teachings of Islam reach Medina?
Jazakallah, thank you very much. As we said, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, have been preaching the teaching of Islam to Arabian people. He first started with the family, to the people of Mecca, to the Taif people, and then to the Arab tribe. But then we see in all this way of preaching, or in all his embarking to preach to these people, he was not successful in it. So we know prophets are not being disappointed. They are not disappointed at all. But then seeing the time and then seeing the way the Arabs were behaving to Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or they were reacting to the teaching of Islam, it was disappointing bit. So Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam decided to look another way of spreading the message of Islam to other people. And this, fortunately, there were some occasions in which people gather of different tribes and different people gather in Mecca. And this was the time of Hajj and the months that they call Ashur al-Hurim, the month which you know that is, all the Arabs accept that, and they all believe in it, that there should not be any war in those months. So Holy Prophet will take advantage of those months and then those occasions to preach the message of Islam to other people. And then there was one time during the time of Hajj, the Arab people from Medina, they come to Makkah for Hajj. So then Holy Prophet came to one man. The man name is called Shuaib bin Samit. He approached him and then invited him to Islam. So that man was a very generous man, very well-known man, and as well as a poet. So he decided to have conversation with Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam introduced him to Islam. Then he praised the Holy Prophet and he was happy with such message of Islam. Then he decided to tell Holy Prophet he also have a book that he can present to Holy Prophet, and then he presented the book. Holy Prophet asked him to read some portion, and then he read. Holy Prophet praised the book, and he said, there are good words in this book, but I also have another important book that you know that I'm sure is more powerful than your book. Then he said, can you recite from it? Then he recited some verses of the Holy Quran. He was happy, though he did not accept Islam, but he never reacted as the Arabs of Makkah and Taif people reacted. So it was also in the same occasion in which he approached another group of people that came from Medina. And this group of people were the Aus tribe. So they came because they were in Medina. We will discuss that later when we come to the life of Holy Prophet and then the type of people in Medina. So they came purposely to seek help and then to equip themselves, in which they were preparing a war against their opponent in Medina. So they came to the Quraysh for that. Then Holy Prophet then preached to them, but then there was a young man among them they called Iyas. So this man, after hearing the message of Islam, he was overwhelmed, and then he told the chieftain of those people, that is the Aus tribe, that this is the greater message that we should take, other than the one we should take from the
one that we came for,
exactly,
to seek assistance for the war.
Exactly. So the chieftain were not happy. They were scared that the Quraysh may heard of this and then they may not assist them. So then they took some pebbles and throw on him and tell him, keep quiet, this is not what brought us here. Then this is the way they were able to hear some of the message of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and these people were from Medina. So they went back. Then this year, a young man passed away in that battle. So, but then the people of Medina, they get the message through this occurrence, through these occasions.
All right. Jazakallah. Ustaz, before we get to Islam in Yathrab, Islam in Medina itself, would you like to give us a background of who the people of Yathrab exactly were? What was their traditions or religion, or any details about them before we get into how Islam got there exactly?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Medina is a very well-known city in the history of Islam, and before that it was referred to as Yathrab. It is 250 miles north of the town called Mecca. In Medina we have a number of groups or number of tribes who live there, but they were religious and irreligious people. The religious people are referred to as the Jews, who also have some particular tribes among them. The religious groups who were the idolaters were mainly the Aus and the Khazraj tribe, of whom he made reference to meeting the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And these Jews, they were the Banu Nadir, the Banu Qaynuqa, and the Banu Qurayza. These were the two groups of people who lived side by side in Medina, then called Yathrab. But the dominant force between these two groups was, of course, the Jews, who were more organized, they were more affluent, and in essence they ruled the town, because all the wealth almost was in the hands of the Jews. And they did not also deal with the idolaters in a very good manner, because it is narrated that even if the idolaters, if they have children, especially male children, the first child, the Jews used to tell them to take pledge that if I have my first child and he is a male, he would be a Jew. So they were forcing them, like literally forcing them to become Jews, and that is how even the Jewish religion extended and expanded. But these people also did not live entirely in peace. There was discord and dissension time and again between the two groups, between this group of idolaters, or the tribes called the Aus and the Khazraj, which Said Sambaso alluded to earlier on, because they even fought a very bitter battle called the Battle of Bu'ath, shortly before the migration of the Prophet ﷺ to Medina.
All right. Jazakallah Ustaz. Brother Said, now we understand that Suwaid bin Samit was the first person who got the message of Islam from Rasulullah, and he's from Yathrab. But he, like you explained, he never accepted Islam. Then after that, we have during the months of the pilgrimage, there was a group of Makkans, Yathrabi, the Madinian people from Medina. They came in as well, and they got the message of Islam as well. But they also did not accept Islam. Then we see there is a whole battle that goes on, after which they come again to Makkah. And now we have the incident in Islamic history known as the Bay'at of Aqaba, the first Bay'at of Aqaba. Would you please tell us about what this Bay'at was about?
Thank you very much. As we have already alluded to and discussed, that is, after this Holy Prophet giving the message of Islam to the Aus tribe who came to visit Mecca at the time, they were not able to accept the message of Islam because they were coming to face a battle in which they are requesting, they need a force, that is physical force that they need at the time. So they were not able to accept the message of Islam at that time. So after the Battle of Boaz, then another occasion, you can say Hajj again came. So some of the tribe of Aus and then the Khazraj people came to Mecca again. Then Holy Prophet is always taking the advantage of this occasion. Then he decided to meet them, and then after meeting them, preaching the message of Islam to them. Some of them were able to recognize the beautiful teaching of Islam, and they were able to accept. And the number of people who accepted at that time, it was 6 people. And all these 6 people, fortunately, they were the Khazraj people. And then the message of Islam first reached to the Aus tribe. So, and then it was the Khazraj people who were the opponent of the Aus tribe who were able to be those 6 member of people who accepted the message of Islam. So after accepting that, they went back to Medina. But we know Holy Prophet ﷺ was in a state of fear, and then he was always anticipating whether the people of Medina also will reject him as that of the Taif and Makkah. So he was always thinking of Medina at the time. But then fortunately, another time came when the people of Medina are coming back to Hajj. Then he met them again. The Holy Prophet met those people. But they were, he noticed a group of people in those people who came to Mecca. He saw there are 12 people, and those 12 people also fortunately recognized the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu through the teaching of Islam that is given to them. So they decided to approach the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu, and then without even Holy Prophet asking them, they start narrating the way and the situation of the Muslim in Medina. So Holy Prophet was happy, and he knew it was a good situation. It was not like that of Taif and Medina and Makkah. So 12 people, all those 12 people decided to take the bayat in the hand of Holy Prophet, and in which 5 of them were the old members who accepted earlier on, and then the other remaining, they were new members who accepted along. So they all took the bayat, and when they were going back, they took the bayat in a place called Aqaba, and this Aqaba in Arabic, it can mean an elevated area. So it was between Makkah and Mina. So that's where they took the bayat, and this is why we call that place the bayat of Aqaba. So after taking that bayat, then they are to go back to Medina. Then while they are going back, one of them requested from the Holy Prophet they can have whether he can send them along a preacher or a teacher or a tutor who is going to go with them and teach them the teaching of Islam, and as well as teach their brothers, that is the idolaters brothers who did not accept Islam yet. Then Holy Prophet decided to send them a teacher who go with them. So the name of that individual is here, that is Musa bin Umair. They went with Musa bin Umair to Medina. So he went and he started preaching the message of Islam in Medina. But when he reached in Medina, he stayed in the house of Asad bin Zurara, who was also a well-known leader or a chieftain of Medina people. So that's where he decided to stay. But it was a successful trip of Musa bin Umaira, to the extent that even Asad bin Zurara, who was responsible at that time for the Muslim affair, then he requested from the Holy Prophet that Musab bin Umair should also be delivering Friday sermon in that particular place, because the compound of Asad bin Zurara became the center of preaching. So Holy Prophet gave an approval that this Musa bin Umair should go ahead and start preaching the message of Islam. And within a short period, most of the Medinan people were able to hear the message of Islam, and they were convinced, and most of them entered into the fold of Islam, most especially the two groups of the idolaters people, that is the Khazraj and then the Aus tribe. So basically, this is the way Islam started to spread in the town of Medina through Musa bin Umaira and this Asad bin Zurara.
Right. Jazakallah, brother Said. Ustaz, we also see that the bay'at that these people took was not just that of Allah's oneness and following Rasulullah. There were other orders as well, in which was like, we shall not commit adultery, and shall abstain from murder, and shall not defame anyone, and shall obey Rasulullah, obviously, after first of all proclaiming that we believe in oneness of Allah and we will not associate any other gods with Allah. So we see that Islam, when it reached Medina, it did not just come with, now that some of the commandments had already been given to Rasulullah. So any bad that followed after that, these people were told about those steps and how to follow the teachings of Islam. And then obviously, as Brother Saeed explained, that it was in Medina that order came in as well, that you should now start praying Jummah as well, which gave the Muslims, the early Muslims of Medina, a chance to get together as well, just like the Muslims of Makkah had when the prayer came in. But Ustaz, then we see that after this, on 13th of Nabwi in Zulhijjah, there was a second bay'at as well at Aqaba as well taken. Would you please tell us about this bay'at of Aqaba?
Yeah, I think before that, let me add that the first pledge of Aqaba, when the Khazraj tribe came and met the Holy Prophet ﷺ and he preached to them, they said among themselves, it's better we accept this message before the Jews will hear about it and accept it, and thus become better than us. Because they have been with the Jews, and they must have heard the Jews talking about the coming of a prophet, and when they hear the message of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, they were like, okay, this is the man the Jews are talking about. But they never expected that he would be an Arab. They knew he would come, but they never expected he would be an Arab. Therefore, they accepted the Holy Prophet ﷺ that moment, and then they promised to go back to their own hometown and then start preaching the message of Islam. They said that we have been greatly weakened by war, and there are many disagreements between us. They said, we shall go to Yathrab and preach Islam to our brothers. How remarkable would it be that Allah the Exalted may gather us through you, then we shall benefit and assist you in every way. The Holy Prophet ﷺ also advised them that if they stick to the pledge that they have taken on his hands, if they stick to that with all the sincerity, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them with paradise. But if they are weak and show laziness towards that pledge they have taken, then it is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to deal with them in whatever manner he likes, because everything rests on his hands.
Right. So the second bay'at of Aqaba, it was also in the 13th Nabwi as well. Would you tell us about that?
Yeah, the second pledge of Aqaba happens in the same place that they met a year before, and it was also at the same time of the Hajj. When the Sahaba called Mus'ab bin Umair was sent to Medina to preach the message of Islam, he was very, very successful. He taught them the message of Islam, and Medina wasn't like Mecca, or the treatment of the Holy Prophet ﷺ he received in Taif. The Medanites, although they had some disagreements with the message of Islam that was newly preached there, but they did not take up arms, or they did not persecute the new Muslims like those two towns I have mentioned have done. Some of them even had some resentment in facing some people who are preaching the message of Islam, saying that they are their relatives, they don't want to talk to them in a harsh way, and that will make the relationship fall apart. Therefore, that trip of Mus'ab bin Umair became very successful, and in the second year, that was in the 13th of Nabawi, the Holy Prophet ﷺ received a delegation from Yathrab, and this delegation, it is said, were 70 people who all came and accepted the message of Islam at the hand of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and then they took the second bayat of Aqaba.
Jazakallah, Ustaz. Ustaz, we see that after this incident of Bayat at Aqaba, we see that Islam is now expanding beyond Makkah, and that brought a lot of joy to Muslims as well. But we see that the people of Medina, people of Yathrab, when they accepted Islam, they made a few pledges to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as well. Brother Said, if you would like to elaborate on that.
Yes, thank you very much. Like as Ustaz has already mentioned, that when these people are to take the bayat, that is the second Aqaba, it was again during time of Hajj, then they made a pledge to the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came with his brother, uncle, that is Abbas, and at the time Abbas was an idolatrous. He came in the middle of the night because he know if he happened to come the daytime, the Quraysh, they may attack him. So he decided to make this pledge to take place in the middle of night, in where you see that most of the people are sleeping. So when they are taking this bayat, then Abbas told them that now the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you all know he is well respected and he is protected by his dynasty. So as long as now you are taking pledge in him, and then you are the people whom he is ready to go with, then you have to protect him as well. If that is not the case, then we are not going to allow you, understand, to be with him, and then we are not going to allow him to be with you. So they all accepted, and then Holy Prophet, they say they want to hear from Holy Prophet what he requested from them or what he need from them. But mostly the important thing, we all know all prophets came to preach this, that is hukukullah and hukukul ibadah, that is the right of Allah and then the right of humanity. And this is all what Holy Prophet told them. You have to give Allah his right, and then you have to give humanity their right. You should not be abusive, you should not do adultery, you should not do fornication. You have to believe in one God, and you have to believe in me that I'm the prophet of Allah. And then you should not be harsh, and you should not be someone who is doing very nasty things. So these were the things that Holy Prophet asked them to do, and they all accepted this message, and they all said that they are going to follow what Holy Prophet told them. So this is basically what Holy Prophet was teaching them.
And in this pledge as well, we see that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam informed them as well that if you stick to this promise, if you're steadfast in this, then paradise is definitely promised to you by Allah. Ustaz, we see after a little while after this, we see migration to Yathrib happens. We shall be discussing this in details. If you would briefly tell us about what was the cause of this migration, and why was Medina itself chosen for this migration?
The Holy Prophet ﷺ, as we said before, had lost all hope on the Meccans accepting Islam. There was no door that was open to Islam anymore in Mecca. All doors were closed. And at that particular moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened a door in Medina, although it was far off from Mecca. But at that particular instant too, you have the Meccans intensifying their persecution of the Muslims. Therefore, the Holy Prophet ﷺ was shown by God to a place where he should migrate to. But initially he thought that it would be Yamama. But later on, he realized that this is not going to be Yamama, but it is going to be Yathrab. Therefore, he made the preparation of migrating there with his Sahabas.
Right. And we also see that Rasulullah was shown in a dream about the incident of migration, that it was a sign from Allah that soon Muslims would be having a victory. Because migration in itself was a victory for Muslims, which gave Muslims the freedom of speech and freedom of expressing their religion in a place that was not Makkah. Brother Said, anything to add on to that, please?
Yes, thank you very much. Because Holy Prophet ﷺ knew one day or the other he have to leave Makkah, because he in the situation of the Meccan people. So it was a commandment from Allah the Almighty that Muslims should leave now. So now after that, then Allah the Almighty give him the location, which was Yathrib. Then he ordered all the Muslim whosoever is capable of migrating, you should leave now. And this what happened. Most of the Muslims, they left Medina. But for him personally, he was not given the commandment of Allah the Almighty to leave Makkah. So as a result of that, some historians say that it was only him, Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Ali, and few members of the Muslims who left in Mecca at that time. All the Medina left. So when the Quraysh witnessed this, they were happy. They are saying that, of course, this is going to be the best time for us to annihilate and kill the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So they decided to attack him and make a plan to how to attack him. So this is the way it started. Then after a short while, then he was given the commandment to leave. Then he decided to live with Abu Bakr.
Jazakallah, Brother Said. Jazakumullah, Ustaz. I'm sure our viewers that have viewed this program today have benefited a lot as well, as they have from the previous episodes. Dear viewers, this brings us to the end of today's episode. I wish we had more time so we could learn more about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But inshallah, we would be bringing you more episodes on the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember the teachings of Hazrat Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, that is always to invoke the rood on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as it is a condition of bath, the second condition of bath, in which Imam Mahdi alayhi salam states that any person who is taking this bath after obviously not associating anyone with Allah and all of that, in the second condition of bath, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam states that the person has to invoke the rood on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regularly. Remember to always invoke the rood on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and show your love for Rasulullah. Till we come your way next time, I am your host Sayyid Salim Raza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
صلي على نبينا صلي على محمد صلي على نبينا صلي على محمد